Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Caden Thompson.
And I'm Nate Blackwell.
Welcome to Selective Wisdom, where we talk about fitness, bodybuilding, life, and everything in between.
We are excited to be here and expand on a range of different subjects and topics we don't get to talk about very often. Let's jump right in.
But it's one of those things where I've definitely been there. Had a year like that where it's like it drains you. But
Yep.
I mean, luckily, we are entering a new freaking year.
Yes.
Dude, 2024 flew, and I was
so
looking
fast.
I was looking back, and it's just like, dude, I haven't done this much with my life in like ever. Like, I moved across the country twice. I got with TM. My business started,
Dude.
going really well. And it's just like, I didn't realize as it was happening that
How much shit was going on.
yeah. And I think
Mhm.
this is the first year that I'm like excited to go into a new year.
Mhm.
For sure.
It's so funny because you can do that a lot of time. And I think that's something that we all should do, including myself, is be a little bit more reflective of
Just
how
be in the moment a little more.
Yeah, we have to, because, and like, if we think about it, like, sit down right now where you are. It's December, so we're basically all the way through the year.
Mhm.
And think about how much you've done this year.
Yeah.
You've done a lot, even if they're not like us, where they're building a business and they're doing this, and they're moving across the country, blah, blah, blah. But you have done a lot this year.
Yeah.
You've made improvements, or you've made regressions in all aspects of your life. So it's like, it is very important to do that on a pretty often basis.
And to be the negative side of that point is like, dude, if you don't do that and you're not doing that, because when you do look back, it's hard to face that. I'm the same guy from last year, and like, and it doesn't.
That should embarrass the fuck out of you.
It should
embarrass.
And it's like I heard this. It was like a Sam Solik thing where he was like talking in his video, and he was like. He like quoted like Mr. Scrooge or something funny. You know how Sam Solik is, but he was like, "Are you even a penny richer?" Like in retrospect, or like in fitness stuff, it's like, do you have the same physique? Are you in the same place monetarily? Are you no further in your job? Like, especially if you're somebody in your 20s, like, you have to constantly be looking for that progression, and so many people get stagnant. But I think, like, what do you think your biggest lesson over the last 12 months has been?
Ooh, biggest lesson?
Yeah, get deep here.
Yeah, that's gonna be tough. I've learned a lot.
Be vulnerable.
Yeah, I've learned a lot of lessons. But so for me, one thing that I unfortunately do to myself a lot, and this is actually on my 2023's New Year's resolutions for 2024, was to limit self-doubt. So I'm a type of person who can never and it's funny because this truck situation is one of those situations that almost proves me right to myself, and it really makes it hard to continue to be positive, because it's like, I saved this money. I haven't been able to save a lot of money in a long time. So now that I'm finally able to save money, I saved money. I started looking at trucks. I was looking around a specific price range. I found it. I found this one, blah, 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 blah. Dude, I can't tell you how excited I was when I got the truck. Like, I was beyond ecstatic. And the post that I made didn't even really sum it up. I was just kind of trying to type something out real quick, because we were at the DMV getting the truck, and it didn't really describe how much that truck actually meant to me.
Yeah.
Because man, I could go real deep here, but there was a time in my life where I had a truck that I really, really loved, but I could not drive it.
Yeah.
Couldn't drive it. And so I had to sell it. I bought it, kept it for 4 months, didn't drive it. I think I technically drove it twice, and then sold it. And it devastated me, because I loved that truck. It was a jack. Yeah. It was a weird color. It wasn't my dream truck, but it was a truck that I had always wanted a truck like this. It was extended cab. It was like a 1994 F-150, which is a really, really good truck. You can't find them because people keep them forever. And had low miles, and it was jacked up on big tires, full wheel drive. Oh, bro, I felt like a man. I felt like a man when I drove it, and it was so nice. But anyways, I'm kind of getting off topic there. But one thing for me that I learned this year is that self-doubt, or one's lack of self-belief in themselves, does nothing for you. Does absolutely nothing for you. You can sit and you can bitch and you can complain And it's something I still struggle with today. I complain a lot because I have to get those. I have to get those out though, because if I internalize them, they will stack up. And Nat could probably tell you this. They will stack up to the point where I will explode at some point, like to the point of like devastation. Right. So I have to, but I understand this is the lesson that I learned is that I can't always, and it's not only from the time that we had where we had a really big, like kind of back and forth argument, if you want to call it that, whatever.
Yeah. I would say it was a constructive conversation.
It was needed for both our sides, I think.
Yeah.
You know, it was needed for me because it really did call me out on the bullshit. But you're not the only person that's ever done that, right? Like Brady has said the same thing and that kind of thing where you're always negative, and like that is something it does not help. It does not help me to be negative all the time, right?
No, not at all.
And it drives people around you crazy.
It does.
All you talk about is the negative shit all the time.
It does.
Now, the bad thing is this is where I struggle is I will get on a little bit of a hot streak and get way too excited. So this is the life lesson that I want to give to you guys. There needs to be, right? So you have 3 levels. I'm trying to get in the camera here. So you have 3 levels. You have a mid-level, which is where like you're kind of good, you're coasting. Then you have those low times, like for instance, you're buying new trucks can't drive right now.
To clarify, he's talking about like emotionally, not
Not like more.
Not coasting through life, not doing nothing, but not regressing.
I'm talking all mentally. Yes, all mental, because that's where I struggle the most right now is mentally.
I think we all do as men, 100%.
You have those lows, you have the midline, and then you have the highs. For instance, getting accepted to TM/TUA, signing your first client, winning your first show, having your first client compete, whatever it is, getting selling 2 or 3 new clients in a week. Like you're riding a high on that.
Yeah.
But see, the thing is, you cannot, and this is something that Brady has taught me or has tried to teach me, and I'm just now starting to kind of pick up on it. You can't get too high, because if you get too high, those lows
are going to be low.
They're way down. And the thing is, you cannot there's nobody that functions in society where it's like this. You know what I mean? Where you're going through peaks and valleys the whole time. Sorry, I'm trying to get in the camera. But like, if you can be more like this, you see what I'm saying?
Because there will be ups and downs, 100%.
There are. No matter what you do, there are going to be ups and downs. There are going to be positive and negative times. But as long as you don't get you can get excited about stuff. I'm not saying 100%. Be a freaking bum on a log or just but don't get so hyped about something that it takes over your entire like mental space. Because that's what happened with the truck. Is it literally I didn't work out for 3 days because of the truck. I spent all day researching what this issue is, what it could be, blah, blah, blah. And it took away from a lot of stuff last week. So I learned from that now, and I'm like, okay, I cannot do that again. I cannot get so excited about something and so hyped about something, because if it falls, it takes you from up here to there's no stopping. Like you just fall straight through. When you're in the midline, it doesn't, okay, that sucks, but we're just going to keep carrying on. Like stay in the middle of the road as much as you possibly can as far as your emotional state.
Yeah.
Because I think we both probably struggle with this. We get to the point where we get mad about something and it's just, there's no like gradually getting. So yeah, like I'm 0 to 100. If I'm pissed about something, I'm from mad to angry.
I completely agree with that. And like you said, like I think, we both struggle with that, but I think where, because I know where this changed for me was we both have a very good friend. His name's Devin, and he coached with you guys at TUA for a long time. But I've known Devin for a very long time, and there was a point where, and the reason that me and Brady pushed that on you is because not because we're like
it's so self-destructive. It's so self-destructive.
It's not coming from like I'm this higher being and I'm intellectually better. It's because, at least for me, I can't speak on Brady. Brady seems like he's been even keeled his entire life. He's very even keeled. I have not. And there was a point, like my journey through coaching has been a complete struggle. My entire life has been, I hate using the word a struggle because like I could have been homeless or something. It could have been much worse.
Could have
But
been way worse. Yeah.
I've been through a lot, and it's one of those things where like my point on Devin was he came to me one time and he was just like, dude, like I don't really want to talk to you. You're too negative. And like that was a thing where it was like I kept losing and I kept
Mm-hmm.
losing. And I did like once I did my first prep, I came home to, I had my car had broke down and was shit. I out of luck. I had to, get rid of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't have a car. I had, worried too much about prep. So I didn't have a job when I got home because, I ended up having to quit that because I didn't have a car. So like I was in
Yep.
a really bad position. And that was like,
Yep.
from there, it was like I just kept losing because I had that mindset where it was just like,
Mm-hmm.
for too long I had the woe is me kind of thing. And I got to a point where like when he said that to me, I was like, okay, I have to, it kind of clicks one day. It's like, I've been doing this for
Mm-hmm.
so long and I'm nowhere. So
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, these
Something's
people
got
are,
to change.
and you hear all these people telling you all these like, you got to be positive. You got to, like whatever you speak into the universe will come to you. And like, no matter how woo woo you feel like that is, I got to a point where I just said to myself, like, okay, I need to try this. And I
Mm-hmm.
think my lesson over the last, 12 months goes really well with yours because
Mm-hmm.
that's the biggest thing I learned to do this year was just let go, and just go with the flow. Like you
Mm-hmm.
have to learn to just let it go. And for me, it was one of those things where, like in coaching, I went 4.5 years with like I had my clients here and there. And when I was doing
Mm-hmm.
in-person training, when I left in-person training, I brought a lot of people with me and I had, at one point I had like 20 clients, but I was not charging enough. So I was still making like nothing, but it
Mm-hmm.
just felt like a revolving door. I wasn't getting anywhere. But when you have the mindset of like this, and Justin said this on a story the other day where he was just talking about like, you have to kind of walk around with like this arrogance, and not an arrogance in I'm the best, you guys suck, I'm above all of you, but this arrogance of like life is he says something all the time that's like everything is happening for you, not to you. And once I
Mm-hmm.
like really bought into that, and again I made this post just kind of about TM and about Justin, like I was a kid who grew up with not I never knew my dad. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
really ever have a father figure, and like he was that first guy that I like was where
Really
I wanted to
connected
be.
with. Mm-hmm.
I aligned with like almost everything he says, almost.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like I started to see like this is a person that if I was looking at this person, if I was this person, people would be proud to be like me or would look
Right.
up to me. So it was like I kind of started to
Yep.
find the person where it's like this is the person and the man that I want to be. So I kind of started to take those things, and it was one of those things where when you start to buy into those mindsets, when you start to buy into everything is happening for me, even
Mm-hmm.
something like that, like now, where I would look at if I was in your position and that
Mm-hmm.
happened to me with the truck, I have taught myself to say to myself instead of, oh my God, like I saved all this money and I finally found a truck I loved and whatever the case may be, I
Mm-hmm.
changed that into, okay, like this sucks. I'm going to be upset. You can't,
Mm-hmm.
the one thing that I don't like is pushing emotions away. You have to
Yeah, I was
sit
about to
with
say.
those. You have to feel them because
Yeah.
without those,
Mm-hmm.
the heights are never going to be the heights.
Yep.
So
Mm-hmm.
for me, it would be like, okay, I this didn't go the way I wanted it to. So something good has to be around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things where I started to really buy into that, in the whatever you speak into, the universe will come to you and all these things. And I know like I had a lot of self-doubt in myself, and my girlfriend Kaylee was a big push in the right direction with
Huge.
that, because she was always like,
Huge.
you're going to, you you can get with TM and you're gonna get that job with them. And like when I
Mm-hmm.
got signed on by him as a client, like the first thing she said was like, he'll hire you on as a coach at some point. And even though I didn't really like necessarily tell myself that every day, I just put the work towards that, like it was going to happen regardless.
Well, so
So
right. I had a similar experience with Tua. I remember
mhm.
2023, I think is technically that's when I signed with Tua. Was my New Year's resolution in 2022 was to be indisposable for Brady.
Yeah. Mhm.
No matter what he asked, no matter what he asked me to do, I was going to do it. You know what I mean? And as soon as he
Yeah.
asked me to do it, I was going to do it. And
Yeah.
what that did was that showed him, for one thing, I'm loyal. Second,
Mm-hmm.
I am able to take on tasks that you give me and complete them.
Yeah.
That's something that I've kind of probably gotten away from a little bit since I've kind of gotten into the inner circle with that. I mean, whenever he asks me to do something, I do it right away, typically. But there's definitely a little bit less energy, maybe, that's behind it.
A little bit of complacency that you gotta check yourself on.
Maybe so. And I really am working on that. A big thing is like content creation. It's something that I'm thinking about this year, making my New Year's resolution overarching theme. So I don't know if you do New Year's resolutions or not. It's not a big deal if you don't. A lot of people do, but they don't actually complete them. I like doing them because it helps me to set up my year. It helps me set up my year.
Before you go on, I think just like everything else, it has a time and a place. And I don't think a lot of people are the type of people. You can't have New Year's resolutions until you're the type of person that sticks to something you tell yourself you're going to stick to. So making those New Year's resolutions for most people is just reinforcing bad habits, because you know you're gonna it's a fun time of year. It's Christmas and you're motivated and you're new year, new me, and you tell yourself you're this person, and then New Year starts and something happens and all of a sudden you're not that person. So when it's
a self-efficacy issue.
Yeah,
it's where you don't have that. You are hurting yourself more by doing New Year's resolutions and not completing them than you are to just not do any and just do your year how you did it the year before. Really, it really is. It's a scientific, psychological thing that has been proven. So I didn't mean to interrupt you on that one.
No, you're good. That's basically what I was saying. It's just like once you get to that point, then you need to be a person who can stick to something without any like reward, any goal, anything like that. And I think that's like I was saying, why me and Brady push that onto you is because I've been in your position. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm still a angrier person than I would like to be. But at the end of the day, it's a thing where like I've been in that position where you're like, everything right now is shit.
Is against me.
Nothing's going right. But I've been there, and then I've been there again. But I did, my mental was different both times. You know, the first time I just continued to be negative and put myself more into the ground. And then the second time, it's like now, like I look over this last year, and the reason I said like my biggest lesson was I was never a person who would go with the flow. Never. Everything had to be exactly how I wanted it, my way, had to work out. And it's like over this last, last year, it's like I moved to Texas, right? That's the place
you can only control what you can control.
That is it. And like I moved there and I thought like for years that's where I wanted to live. I thought I was going to be there for 2-3 years, however long, and it was going to be. I made it out in my head to be this thing that it was not. So when I got there, and I didn't immediately blow up on social media, and I didn't immediately have all these new clients. It's like, okay, I could have been like, well, I tried. It's over, whatever. But it was like I just had to. Didn't make it that far to just make it that far. So I had to keep pushing. And lo and behold, 2 months after being there, I get signed on with TM, and then we have the hurricane, and I basically don't have a working apartment for a month. So I had to pack my my animals and my girl and my stuff and move and drive 15 hours to Florida and stay there for 2 weeks, and like all these things where me 2 years ago or a year ago would have freaked out. But now it's just like I instead of being like, God, I gotta pick my stuff up, drive 15 hours to Florida and live in we stayed with her aunt, and she has this like RV thing it's nice. It's got a bed, TV, kitchen, all that kind of stuff. It's
better
like a nice
than
thing.
Nothing.
Yeah, but like before, I would have been really negative about it. But at that time, it was like, oh, awesome! I get to go to Florida for 2 weeks and basically be on vacation. Like we go there, we went out on the boat, we did all these these fun things, and it's like at the end of the day, just nothing is that serious. And if you can go with the flow, I don't know. There's just something about energy, dude, and the negative energy is just so toxic for you. So like when me and Brady see you doing that to yourself, it's like we know what you could be doing if you weren't like that. So it's like it's really hard to get somebody who hasn't crossed that line to really see. But your energy is everything, and I think that's what I can accredit everything this year to. And I think people like Brady and like Justin, like they are going to heavily read that. They're going to heavily read that energy. And it's like, if I was some negative asshole who, was bringing everybody around me down, like I wouldn't have the opportunities I have now.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
again, like we're coaches, we got to lead by example. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, if we're going to freak out about the little things, like how can we expect our clients to be any different? So
Yep.
it's a huge lesson that you have to learn. But I think, this year definitely, I mean, probably for both of us, taught us a lot
Huge,
about
yeah.
how to operate over this next year. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, seems like for both of us, it's going to be, at least business wise, a much better year.
Dude,
And I mean, at the end of the
yes.
day, dude, we both have fantastic career opportunities. We both live in beautiful places. Neither of us are dealing with freezing cold right now. Like life could be so much worse, dude.
It could be you could be back in India, I could be back in South Carolina, bro.
I'm gonna be back in India in a couple weeks. Sucks.
Well, me too. But
yeah.
I don't mind going back. I don't mind going back and chilling there for a bit. But it's like living there, nah, heck
no.
But no, I think I told you about this book before, maybe off camera. But the Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself book.
You haven't told me about that one yet. No,
I haven't.
That's something I really admire about you. Actually, you read a lot. It seems like, and that's something that I really want to be better at.
It does a couple of things for me. It helps calm my mind down. It helps get me focused, especially if you start your day off with it. Like if you wake up in the morning, get you a cup of coffee, and you just go sit in your office by yourself. Maybe
old
even
head
before.
Activities.
Dude, it is. But I'm telling you, there's nothing
it's
better. It's so calming and like relaxing. And I haven't, since we've been in this apartment, I've read one time, one day. And it's very annoying to me because I have an office now. I can read by myself, but I just like the way that I have my schedule set up, I just get up and I'm going the whole time.
Same.
But this book right here, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. I don't know. It looks backward probably, but it talks about it talks about the quantum field. It talks about energy.
Oh, we talked about this, but you didn't tell me what the book name was.
Okay, my bad. I know that we've talked about it, but
yeah,
it talks about the quantum field, and that's the same thing as energy. Like, and what you put out into that quantum field, what you put out into that energy field, because that's basically what the quantum field is just an energy field. You get that back. That comes back. So no wonder I'm getting all these fucking negative things happen to me because I've been so negative for so long. But that is where I'm having trouble, is how to like, and I think I even asked Nat the other day about this because we were last week was a pretty rough week for us just in general. Because of that, when I got the news about the truck, I was down for the whole day.
Oh, I bet.
I didn't go to the gym. I think I laid on the floor in here and just laid here. I was just so like, it was such a weird, depressed feeling. I didn't like it at all. But it's just, that like negative energy that I'm constantly like streaming into, and that's why this is another way you can know that if somebody is a kind of a negative person, is that when they get on these highs, they're on highs. They got to tell everybody. And that's the reason, like, I quit telling you about like what, I quit doing that because I was like, that's just me and my insecurity and my negativeness. I got to throw something positive out there, but it's not even really positive because then it almost feels like I'm kind of shitting on you, and it's not at all that. It's just. But you know what I mean? Like that's what if somebody was outside looking in, that's probably like, dude, you tell your friend how much you make every month or whatever.
Well,
like,
and that's like you said.
I know it's a little different. Like, I know it's a little different, but
well, you said something about like insecurities, and that's something that we both. Okay, so we both have. I'm not afraid to say this, but like we both have been not the breadwinners at certain points or for long periods of time, and inside of
that's
relationship,
tough on a man.
As a man that definitely doesn't feel good, but again, that comes to when you don't know how to deal with your insecurities, which is something I struggled with for a very long time. It comes out in those ways, and it's like, for me, this is what I believe, and I believe that. Because you know me, I'm not a religious person or anything like that. So for me, I work heavily off of just like how the world works, and I'm a very logical thinker. And at this point, like I'm getting more into, like I said, just like how you move and how you operate and what you put out into the world is like what you're going to get back. And so what I've found is that life is tricky, and you're not going to get. Alex Hormozy, I don't know if it was a podcast or something, but he has this thing where he's talking about like if you were to create a human being and you wanted them to have the trait of being, strong or resilient,
Mm-hmm.
what would you give them? You probably wouldn't give them an easy, cozy life. If you wanted
Right.
someone to be patient, you're not going to give them everything right away. And those little things, it's like for life, I truly believe that for most of us now, a lot of us, a lot of people have, maybe more opportunities at the beginning. Maybe you have a wealthy family. Maybe you have,
Mm-hmm.
a dad with a business or something like that. And that's all
Right.
good and well. Those people are going to have their own issues when they don't have to figure out anything for themselves, right? They're going to have their own
Right.
hardships. But for
Right.
most people, you have to be able to endure shit and be able to endure hardships and be able to get fucked over and be able to, like for you, like be able to have two cars have basically go out at the same time
Mm-hmm.
and be positive through that, or else you're not deserving of anything good. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what I've found a lot lately, where it's like I just dealt with shit after shit after shit after shit,
Right.
and until I was like, oh well, it's something good's gonna come.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing good started happening until that mindset shift happened.
Well, you said something earlier that I really admire, because I went through this. Like, okay, so just so everybody's clear, before I started dating my current girlfriend Natasha, who's awesome. Happy birthday, by the way. It was her birthday.
Oh
yesterday.
yeah, happy birthday, man.
Shout out.
Welcome
She
to
turned
Club
25.
25.
Yeah,
Yes,
welcome to Club Old. I broke up with a girl that I dated for 5 years. Okay. And in that break, it was a tough breakup.
After 5 years, I'm sure.
Dude, it was a tough breakup. But I remember one time I was sitting in my dad's house, and I was sitting he has a huge recliner. My dad's a big guy, but he has like a really like a ultra wide. I'm sitting there, I'm curled up in a ball like a little girl, and I'm like crying to myself, but I'm thinking in my mind, like, how in the world do I get out of this? I need to get out of this emotional state as soon as possible. But then I told myself, I said, you want to know the easiest way to get out of an emotional state like that is through it.
Yeah.
So I told myself, I'm going to sit every time I have an emotional like experience like this, or like a downtime with this whole thing. I allowed myself to sit there, and I really did. I sat there and I marinated in that like misery of like what I was going through at the time. And it sucked, but it helped me so much get through that process way faster. And I'm not gonna sit here and lie and be like, oh yeah, it only took me 2 weeks to get over it. And blah. No, it was way longer than that.
Especially when they don't do something to piss you off. Like relationships are easy to get over when they fuck you over, and it's like, okay, well, fuck you.
Yes.
But when it's not, bro, it's tough.
When it's just like when it's just a thing,
or when it's your fault.
Oh, when it's your fault, and I mean, you know me, I'm like,
yeah.
If it's my fault, like it's I'm gonna be pissed. But I can't be pissed at myself. So I'm gonna be pissed at something.
I'm gonna be pissed at you.
I'm gonna be pissed at everybody else in this motherfucker. But I'm really mad at myself, and that's kind of what the same thing happened with the truck. Funny enough, like I'm mad, but I can't be mad at the truck. The truck is inanimate. The truck didn't do anything. I can't really be mad at the people who sold it because they let me go fucking drive it. I just didn't feel the stuff that was going on with it somehow.
Yeah.
I can't be mad at Nat because she even kind of like helped me see something that was wrong. And I just was like, it was a red flag.
You were blinded by excitement, bro.
I was exactly. And that's the point, is you cannot get on those highs, right? You cannot get on those highs because they will lead you down a path of destruction every single time. But Nat actually, because I met Nat pretty quick after my ex and I broke up. And she brought out a lot of that emotional side of me. And that's one thing that this year I think I got away from a little bit, was expressing my emotional side to her, because she's really good, dude.
In the correct way.
In the correct, not through anger, she's really good about like coming in and being like, hey, something's off. Like, what's going on?
But that's where the insecurity. That's when the where the insecurity of not being the sole provider, or not feeling like you don't feel like the man that you're supposed to be. And I've gone through this exact thing. I know exactly how it feels. You don't feel like the man. You don't feel like a man. Well, and so when when you add being vulnerable and emotional to them, it's like that's the
just,
last piece of the puzzle where okay, well, that's
I'm
the
a bitch
thing.
basically.
Yeah,
like
and
really,
that's
that's
where
what you
like
feel like.
a lot
But
of
that's
men.
where you can't be like that as a man.
No.
You have to be emotionally available. I'm not saying you have to be a freaking wuss. You don't have to be a pussy. Like, but you can be emotionally vulnerable and still a very manly man. Like, you really can. And that's 100%. Where a lot of guys, including myself, get that mistaken. And I really do. I struggle with that. But the thing is, it's not even about being the breadwinner, because I don't mind splitting responsibilities. I really don't.
No,
If it was 50-50, it's like, cool. But the thing about it is like, it's very emasculating
100%
by when you have to go to your girl and be like, hey, I don't have any money. Can you give me money? And you know that if they decided tomorrow to dump you, you're fucked. You got to go back home. You got to move back home with your parents. You're not going to, you know what I mean? Like, that's how it was for a long time. And, you know, like, even when I was making, like, working other jobs and not just coaching, it was hard because I still wasn't making that much money. And she would go and work at her job and make more money than I would. And then she didn't have the bills that I had, so she would be able to keep more money than I would. And it drove me insane because I'm like, I'm working my ass off over here. You're going and waiting tables and you have more money than me. Like, what the fuck is going on? I'm training. I'm doing like, I'm coaching, I'm helping people get sourcing for different things. Like, I'm doing all of these different stuff. Plus I'm on YouTube and I'm making money from that. Plus I'm getting commission from my whatever it is, little things that I was doing. Like,
dang, were you getting commission off YouTube?
Yeah. Dude,
Shoo.
yeah. I was making $100. It wasn't much. I was making like,
dude, anything from any type of social media.
I was making $100 maybe every 2 or 3 months. Like, that was about it.
Still, any money.
I was happy. Oh, dude,
that's light.
That's
light now, at the end of the tunnel. You know what I'm saying? Because if you can make $1, you can make 1,000.
Right. But that's kind of the thing is like, you know, but then that's what happens to me is I get to the point where I will shut everything down. I will self-destruct everything because I'm like, life is too good right now. I need something bad. You know what I mean? It's the opposite of how it should be. Like, hey, this bad thing just happened to me. There's a good thing right around the corner, like you said earlier, which is a great mentality to have. But when you're in the middle of the shit, it's real tough to have that mentality.
Well,
but when things are going good, it's real hard because we have had so many bad things.
I want it to stay like that.
To not be like, when is the bad thing happening? What's going on? When is something's going to happen? Something's going to come.
Well, and I said something.
What that leads into is like, then you create the negative.
You create what you
created yourself.
You didn't want.
You created yourself by getting in an argument with your girlfriend, and then you break up, and then you're fucked. You know what I mean? Or whatever the case is. Like, you usually end up there's a saying. I think. Oh my gosh, I can't. I think it's from Star Wars. I know you're not a big Star Wars guy.
No, I am.
But I think it's
Star Wars.
Oh, okay, I couldn't remember if you're a Star Wars guy. There's a saying where it's like, one often meets his path, one often completes his path. So basically, like does his path or finds his path in the route to avoid it.
Yeah.
So like you know, like for instance, there's a Jonah. Yeah, Jonah in the Bible. I don't know if you ever went to Sunday school or whatever. You know who Jonah is. So in his path to avoid going to Nineveh and preaching to those people who were like bad people, whatever. They're probably like trying to go to Chicago gangs and like talk to them. Like, nobody wants to do that. No missionary wants to do that. Not a white one, especially.
No.
So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, but you know, he gets a call, he goes and he does this thing, and then he's like, I'm not doing that. I'm going to do anything else I possibly can to not do that. So then he goes and gets on a boat to go to the opposite side of the world. That boat gets, a huge storm comes, he has to jump off and get swallowed by a whale. And then guess where he ends up? Nineveh. The well spits him out in Nineveh. Like, he tried his damnedest to miss that, to not get that opportunity. But God was like, ha ha ha. You can call it God, fate, the universe, whatever you want to call it. Said, I have other plans, and you are going to make this appointment that I have set for you. And I really like that. I like that thought, because going back to 2016, I mean, you know what was going on in 2016, 2016 through 2019. I had no idea what I was going to do. No clue with my life. And then God, I'm going to call him God, but
Yeah.
the universe, whatever, set a plan up to where things just fell in. Now, I was going through, I was in a bad, dark place, like really dark place, but it just set up and I just kept on pushing. Like I am proud of myself for that. I'm proud of myself for that.
If you can, and that's what, when I say like, I learned to go with the flow and just let go, I learned that the only thing I can do is what I can do. And so to your point, like I was in a 4-year relationship before Kaylee as well.
Yep.
Looking back, and it's always hindsight is 2020, dude. But I look back, and that was, you know, my like me and that girl were really good friends since we were like 3-4 years old. We grew up, you know, same school. We knew each other for a long time. You know, I watched her have boyfriends. She watched me have girlfriends, and it like, you know, finally like worked out, and we ended up getting together. And like we had some really horrible years. I was a horrible boyfriend. Like that's,
same.
You know, again, I was a angrier, you know, a worse person. But
I have a question. When you're done with this, I have a question.
So when we broke up, I was in that same spot. It was like, I've put 4 years of my life into this. I thought, you know, every high schooler is fucking dumb like that. Like, oh, I think I'm going to marry this girl, whatever the case. And so after that, it's like, what am I going to do? And now I look back and like, dude,
you're like, thank God.
I couldn't live the life I'm living with her. Like, you know,
100%. Dude, 100%.
I somehow randomly, you know, like obviously, you know, me and Kaylee ended up connecting on social medias and stuff, but I don't know if there was a more perfect person than her for what I had planned for my life. And it's like, you never can see what is going to happen for you. Like now, you know, if I was with that other girl, she didn't want to move out of state, I would not have stayed in Indiana. She did not, you know, have the ambitions to, you know, like Kaylee, like
get
works
out and
from
do
home,
things.
helps me with bodybuilding. She would not have been on the bodybuilding wave at all, the gear, all that kind of stuff. I would not have had a good life. And so now I have this person who only like focuses on progressing my, you know, career. Obviously she, you know, she has her job and stuff, but you know, it's just the perfect like support system for me.
Yep.
And so now looking back, it's like, thank God. In the moment, if someone would have given me the choice, like, hey, you can be with this girl forever or not be with her, I would have chosen to, you know, oh yeah, no, like this is who I want to be. But now looking back, it's like that would have destroyed my entire life.
Hey, just so you know, that's called God. I know.
I'm not going to call it that, but
I know you're not religious,
not
but that's it's just in my mind. That's like, holy shit. That's basically the same thing that happened to me. I mean,
yeah,
like same thing. My ex, I was actually planning on getting engaged to her. I was legitimately planning on getting engaged to her.
Had the ring.
You know, I didn't have that. Not quite yet, but I was broke, bro. It'd have been a cheap ring.
True.
And she knew that. She knew it was going to be. She knew it was going to be a cheap ring. But anyways, like I was in that same position where I was, you know, thought that I loved this girl, but we were just horrible. She couldn't emotionally support me. I am not emotionally stable. So like, there's no way we're, you know, she wasn't emotionally stable as in like, she would just crumble under the slightest little bit of pressure. And then
that's exactly how my girl was.
I was the type where I just took advantage of that constantly. And I probably still do. Natasha would probably be like, yeah, he still does that. But she's a lot more like, she's the type of girl that's not going to take as much shit, you know, just like Kaylee is.
We both like have Kaylee
is. Yeah. Luckily, Natasha is a little bit more level-headed, I think, than Kaylee. No offense to Kaylee.
Yeah. No, probably.
Like she's probably a little bit more level-headed.
Kaylee's
than Kaylee,
a little fiery for sure.
But you know, that definitely, like you said it, you hit the nail on the fucking head when you said, you know, I would not be in the position that I'm in right now, where I'm at, doing what I'm doing, being able to do the things that I'm able to do without what Natasha has done for me.
Yeah.
Just plain and simple.
And like for me, when I look back on like so many decisions that I would have made, like it's, you look back and it's like,
you would not have made because of that other girl. Dude,
yeah.
I could tell some stories right now. I could tell a bunch of stories, but the biggest one is the one that I regret the most. And this girl was awesome to me. Her name was Devin. Funny enough, her name was Devin. She was great to me. She's a great girlfriend. We dated when I was in high school. It was my senior year. I was playing basketball. I had started a new school So I was only there I only played on this basketball team for 1 year. They didn't know me. That's how coaches are. If they don't know you, that you've never seen you play in a real game, they're not really going to start you. So I wasn't starting. I didn't start the whole season. Even though I was better, by the way, I was better than a couple of guys that started ahead of me. But I chose not to go to my senior night basketball game to instead, which I would have started. I would have got to run through the crowd. It would have been hype. And thinking about it now, I'm like, what the were you thinking?
Yeah, what were you doing?
But she had she was really good at singing. I think I told you this. She was really good at singing. She made the voice, whatever. She had like a talent show. And she really wanted me to go, but it was the same night as my senior night basketball.
Of course.
I quit the basketball team to go to her fucking show. It was her junior show. It wasn't even her senior show. She was a year below me. So I could have gone the next year. But I surprised her. It was cool. It was cool. But that's another thing. Like, I get on those emotional highs of like, oh, I'm going to get to surprise her. I look back, it's been 10 years. It's been 10 years, 11 years almost 12 at this point. Why the fuck did I do that? I wasted that opportunity to have probably one of the most fun, memorable experiences as far as my basketball career goes, to impress a girl that I knew, even then, I knew I wasn't going to marry her.
Yeah.
I knew it. And I still was like, I'm going to, so it's, it's a little bit embarrassing, but, I do have a question for you. This is something that I thought about when you were talking. So why are we so angry? Me and you. I'm literally thinking about it in my head as I'm talking about it. And I'm I can't point to a one specific reason as to why I get so angry. Now, I will say, I did know my dad. My dad's an awesome dad. My dad's awesome. I love my dad. He's great. I respect him a ton. He does have anger issues. Plain and simple. I've seen him chunk a hammer at my brother before. Yeah. Like, like back in the day. So he has anger issues. I've seen him throw a riding lawnmower across the yard because it mashed his toe. Like, which is the exact same thing that I would do in that situation. So is it genetic, do you think? Or is it just because of our life circumstance and how much we've had to struggle to even get like a mediocre living? Like, we're not rich. We're not making 30, 40,
I think for me, I remember learning about this in school, nature versus nurture. Oh, glad to see that you finally gave up my water bottle. Awesome.
Yeah, I got a new one. Let's go.
You can go ahead and mail mine back.
I'll go ahead and ship that one back. Yeah.
No, but I think nature versus nurture plays a huge part of it. Like you said, like,
definitely.
I grew up in an extremely violent, chaotic household. Kaylee the same way. I think for me,
I hate blaming it on that though, because it's my decision. It's my decision to get angry.
So here's what I'll say about that. This is what growing up and becoming a man means, right? And this is our job, no matter who you are, no matter where you're at, your job is to be better than your parents were. The only reason we are here at the end of the day, or our only job here is to progress society, progress human life, right? If we all stop having kids, bye world. So I think we take that, and you either are one of two people. You learn, and this is something that me and Kaylee have to have conversations about all the time, and I have to tell her, and she tells me, like, dude, you're being just like your mom. Dude, you're just being just like your mom. We have to, you either figure it out and learn, like, hey, everything that I've saw, because even though you're out in the world, you're at school, you're on sports teams, you see all these different people. To you, we're all living in our own universe, or our own whatever. So to you, like, really the only thing you know is what you grew up in. So when you grow up in a angry, a violent household, when you've had horrid things happen to you, when you've seen terrible things, that creates you, right? So and for a young kid who's, there's a lot of things that, I'm not, probably we'll go into at a different point, but I've seen and experienced some shit, dude, and it makes you angry because you don't know how to deal with your feelings, and as a man in this society, you're taught to just push those feelings away and push them away, and like I said, you come to a crossroads where you can continue being this person, you can continue acting how the rest of your family acted, and then you either turn out exactly like them, which for me is angry, broke, and just like barely surviving, or
Mm-hmm.
you learn and you realize I need to drop my ego, which is something that I've had to do time and time and time again. You
Mm-hmm.
drop your ego, you realize that to become the person that you want to be, you have to do things that you never did, right? So if you continue to repeat the same things that you watched as you grow up, or you continue to repeat the same emotional actions that is keeping you in a negative spot,
Mm-hmm.
that's the road you choose, right? So to
Right.
your point, it is your choice. But again, nature versus nurture, I think nurturing plays a huge part, but it's our choice to break that cycle. And so
Definitely.
for me, I'm continuously what I did personally, which is kind of what you've done, but I've broken away from my family pretty heavily.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I really just have my mom and my brother. My mom has changed so much, and like we
Mm-hmm.
grew up, she had me when she was 18, we grew up together, so
Mm.
I'm watching her, and she had to raise two kids, kind of by herself for the longest.
Right.
Like my brother's dad, we have different dads, and like he was
Gotcha.
around, but he was really just like he wasn't the greatest father, especially definitely not to him. And for me it
Mm-hmm.
just was like I didn't click with him. He was, stepdad, whatever. But she raised, two kids. So she never really had the mental space or the environment to grow up. And now
She
I'm
didn't
out
even.
of the
Yeah, she didn't
house.
even get to grow out. Mm-hmm.
I'm out of the house. My brother is, in school, things like that. So she's getting more of a space to. She has her own career now. She's doing these things where she is finally growing up herself.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you don't drop that ego and understand that who you are isn't a good person, which we don't, as men, we don't want to believe, right? We want to believe we're these, I'm top dog, and we have these egos. And it's like, for me, as I started to drop that a little bit, and I started to realize like, God, I am. And like that last relationship, when I look back on it, it's like, it sucks, but you have to realize like, damn, I'm a piece of shit. Like I
Mm-hmm.
am. And that ego death is the start of growing up and becoming, a better
I
man. So I
yeah.
think for
I
for
was.
me, I would say is definitely a lot environment.
Mhm.
And I'm just like continuously trying to break that mold.
I will say, don't get stuck, because I have found myself getting stuck in this situation before, where I will blame myself to make me feel better about myself. So I will be, for instance, oh my gosh, what is it good? Like I will be the biggest asshole ever.
Mhm.
I will be the biggest asshole ever. Let's say to Natasha about whatever the subject is. But then later, I'll be talking to somebody like you, or I'll be talking to somebody like Brady, or whatever, and I'll mention her. But I'm like, I have to make sure that even if I'm talking about, like, say, where I'm talking about the fight, I just need to talk to somebody about it. You're the bros. I need to talk to the bros about this fight. I always put her in a much better light than how I was thinking about her while I was in the middle of the fight.
Mhm.
So it makes me look like an even bigger asshole, because I'm like, oh, she was the sweetest thing ever. She was helping me this and this and this. And like, yeah, she was, but technically, like, we still kind of started arguing. Like, it wasn't like it was just me coming in there and be like, what the, like, it was like we argued, we went back and forth. But I will do that to make myself feel better, that I'm like, okay, I praised her. She was right in this situation, but you don't
Oh, I
actually
see what you're
change
saying.
anything. You
I
don't
see what you're
actually
saying.
change anything. You
Yeah.
just mention it like, yeah, sorry, I'm an asshole.
You try
But
to
that's
you
all.
try to you try
You're
to after the fact you try to take all the responsibility
Yes,
so
yes,
that
but
you
it's all,
can.
the damage is already done, and
At
it's
the very
been
least,
done.
I talked her up. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. I never, and that's the thing, is like, I have legit, and I do it with everybody. I do it with a lot of different people, where I will take blame on myself to make myself look better. Like, oh, at least he said something positive about blah 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 blah. And it's like, because I know everybody around me at this point. I've been around most people that have been around me for long enough. They know I'm an asshole.
Yeah.
They know I'm gonna speak and say some crazy off the wall shit. Sometimes I'm gonna talk shit about something at some point. Like, I hate that is who I am.
So that's
But
what I was
that
gonna.
is
That
who
was
I
my
am.
next question
Yes.
for you. Is like, do you like the person that you are?
So okay,
Overall.
there's things that I like about myself a lot. One is
overall.
right. But I'm gonna get to why I'm answering it this specific way. And I'll try to be as quick as I can. I am mentally resilient when it comes to really, really hard things. For instance, that time that I was telling you about in 2016 to 2019. When it comes to if I want something, for instance, Tua, Brady told me multiple times, no, you're not gonna work, you're not gonna be able to work with Tua. I was like, fuck that. I'm gonna work.
Yes,
with
I
you.
am.
Like you're gonna need me at some point. You're gonna need me, and I'm gonna be around. I'm gonna be here. And what I did is I just attached myself to that. So I like myself for those things. I like myself for the way that I stand up for the things that I believe in. If I believe in something heavily, I'm going to stand. I don't care. I don't care what society, like these like we talk, the anime shit. The anime shit pisses me off. Like a bunch of nerds out here running the world.
Anime
it's
is
like,
amazing.
no, anime is for
Yes,
nerds,
it is.
and it's always been for nerds. It'll always be for nerds. You can be a nerd and be cool. You can be a cool nerd.
It teaches you
cool
such
nerds.
valuable life
Oh
lessons.
my God.
I'm
Get
telling
the
you.
fuck out of
I'm
here.
telling you.
Get the fuck out of here. I get my life lessons from the Bible, so which one's better?
Anime.
Shut the fuck up. You know
at least I can see it.
But and I say that I'm getting and as I'm cussing every other sentence. Like,
exactly.
I am not the typical Christian. Or like the whatever you want to call it, like top Christian.
Devoted.
I'm devoted, but I'm not the best. I'm not the best example. The best example, Christian. Let's say it like that. But on the negative side, I do get very angry. I do get very emotionally unstable. All of the things that we've kind of talked about. And so would I like where I'm at currently? Do I like myself where I'm at currently? No. Do I like the fact that I'm able to at least have the internal dialogue with myself to be like, dude, you suck.
That's
like,
it.
There are times that, right. That is the first step. My issue right now is what is the fucking second step?
How do I
to
change
start
it?
doing? Well, that's what I'm saying. Okay, well then what's the third step? Like, how do you change it? Okay, well you do this, this, and this. All right, cool. Those things are they are 110% against my nature, right? So for instance, a good example would be like, let's say Nat does something, and we actually talked about this the other day. Let's say I say something that's kind of like a little bit out of pocket, and then she kind of snaps back with like a quick response. My next thing is I'm going from 0 to 100.
Yeah, I'm going for jugular.
Yes, I'm gonna destroy you. I'm gonna hurt your feelings really bad. And that is not a positive thing to be, because that will get you in trouble way more than it's gonna to help you. So how do you change that though? Because that is how my body, how my mind, how everything in me wants to react in that moment. That is how it wants to. That's how it's being pushed to. So what is that thing? What is that trigger that triggers that switch? Right? And then how do you reverse that? Because like imagine me being the type of person that like you scream at me and I'm like, all right, man, cool, and just walk away. Fuck no, I am not a bitch. Like I'm not no pussy. But like is that a man's way of thinking, or the societal man type of thing?
And I think that the thing is, we as young men, like we value things in the wrong way. Like for me, I'm not saying that I do this every time or that I'm really good at this, but just listening to that situation, the power is not in, like you said before, like, I don't remember what we were talking about, but you're like, I'm not letting that go. Perfect example. This is something that another one of the things that I've been through, that, and this is just like the first thing that popped in my head of this lesson for me. When I was 21, I wasn't selling drugs or anything, but I had a friend that was, and I don't want to say drugs, it was just weed, but and I lived in a very small
drugs in Indiana, but not
lived
drugs.
lived in a very small town. But regardless, he basically was like, I have, all this weed and it sucks and I'm not going to sell it. basically gave it to me for next to nothing. So me being broke, I was like, I know so many people that smoke weed. I'm going to make me a quick buck. Ended up, long story short, ended up hooking up with the wrong people. And I went to this place in Indy, and it was a neighborhood that like everybody in Indy knows, like you don't go to. Like everybody knows that. And I pulled up there, and again, this was somebody I didn't know. I just found him on Snapchat, or somebody sent him to me. And so I pull up and I do the deal. I, get out of my car. I go to grab the stuff. Basically, I turn around to give the person, the weed, and I'm being held at being held at gunpoint. I give it to him because I'm not dying over a little bit of weed. Give it to him. I get back in my car. I go to drive off. 4 of them pop out from behind cars, and like where I was it was just so it was apartment on either side, and then parking spots. So my only way was forward. There was a gate and then an interstate behind me. I had to go forward. 4 guys jump out of behind the cars and just start lighting me up. Right now, I drove off, and a young, like a dumber me, and at this point, like I'm just now starting my like fitness journey and like this whole mental journey to like where I'm at now. But like me, like a year before that, I would have gone back home. I would have grabbed my gun, and I would have probably went back there and tried to do something stupid, and probably would have lost my life. I ended up leaving the gun that I had at the time at the house, and to go do this, whatever. And like had I had it on me, I probably would have done something stupid. So it's like the power is not in getting your lick back or getting revenge. The power is in not needing that, right? And I think that goes for so many like Kaylee is a very like vengeful person. Like if I do something or someone does something to her, she's not cool until she's even, right? And I think that negativity and that mindset continuously puts us in a very negative loop. And so for us as men, we need to understand, it's like the Jordan Peterson quote, you need to be able to be dangerous and then learn how to control it, right? Because here I am 4 years later, those guys don't mean anything to me. I'm still here. Like all these things that am I really that mad about the $500 that I lost out on? No, I'm not. Like, so I think that is the first, like you said, like, how do you change that? You have to understand, you have to change your mindset. And it's just like getting over being a negative person or really buying into, what you speak into the universe, you get back. It's like, you have to get yourself to believe that, I don't need to be this person who like gets revenge on everybody, and no one ever does me wrong. And if you do me wrong, I'm going to end your life. Like, we don't need to do these things, right? The power is in being able to be calm, cool, collected. And for me, I don't know those, what kind of lives those guys are living. They're probably dead. They're probably dead by now.
Dead or in
right?
jail.
So
probably.
For me, it's like, I know what's going to happen to you. Like, I just,
I just got to sit back and watch.
I was just mad that my car got ruined. That's what I was mad about. So it was like, exactly. You just kind of have to let life happen how life's going to happen. Like for me, and the way I looked at that situation was like, you get to the point where you have to look at the silver lining of everything. And for me, it's like, when that happened, it was every window except for my windshield was gone. They literally lit my car up. There was 2 that entered the passenger side window. No exits, no holes in my car. Those bullets vanished.
Disappeared.
Don't know where they went. They should have hit me, but don't know what happened to it. I probably shouldn't be here. So like, that's the silver lining. Like, that's something that I don't talk about with people a lot, is like, people ask me like, how do you keep going and things like that. And it's like, that's a huge reason why. Like, I easily could not be here. And had I been hasteful, had I been I'm getting revenge, let's find them and let's whatever, I probably would be dead. So
yeah,
I think that's the first thing.
So there's 2 things that I want to say with that. And we're kind of getting close to being a little over on time. But the first thing is that is one reason that I would never and have never put myself in that same situation. Trust me, I had plenty of opportunity.
Oh yeah.
And plenty of friends. Like, I have one of my friends in when I first moved to South Carolina, one of the guys that I first started started playing basketball with, he actually died in a similar thing where somebody robbed them. And so I avoided those. I avoided those situations. That is one thing I will commend myself on, is I don't put myself in many situations to where I need to get that angry or be vengeful or whatever. The places that I do put myself in places like that would be sports. Sports was huge for me because I mean, dude, I was a menace. I was a menace, especially in 10th grade, 10th and 11th grade were my two best years for basketball. I was a menace, bro, because I knew I was better than you. I was going to tell you I was better than you, and then if you did anything to me, I was going to get you back threefold. You know.
Yeah.
And so, but that's how you're supposed to do it. You know what I mean? Sports, you're supposed to do it that way. And then you get into the military, so it's right out of high school, and it's that same type of concept of, if you kill one of our guys, I'm destroying your entire. I will end your entire generation. I will end your family line is gone off the face of the planet. You kill one of my guys. You're funny. So that's where I would get in trouble, is when my friends would do things and they'd be like, hey, I got a big friend, Nate, and he's gonna come over and handle business. Yeah. And that's when I would get in trouble. Like I in the club, I have two for Jay and Joey, you know them. They're both small guys. They're both pretty small. When I go to the club with them, guess who's supposed to be the protector and the one that's supposed to get in a fight? It's me every time.
Brady, the big jack dude.
Yeah, literally. Brady went to Omaha and they almost got in a fight at their gym because some douchebag, because Brady was taking a shirtless picture for the gym owner. For the gym owner.
Can't see Brady getting in a fight.
I couldn't either. And they FaceTimed us, and I was like, we both said it. We were like, we wish so bad we could have seen him get angry. Because he was like, he said he was yelling and like
never
was ready to fight this dude. Never. I've known this dude for 5 years. Never seen him
like that.
Raise his voice hardly. But he was like, Nate, if you were here, bro, I wouldn't have even needed to do anything. You would have just, because I would have swung. As soon as he started walking over and talking shit, you're done. Like I'm clocking you. But see, that is, I think, where that stems from for me. So it's different. You're right. You got it from there. I get it from being bullied when I was, so dude, 8th grade was such a pivotal year for me. And I know we're going over, but I got to tell a story. There in 8th grade, I started going to a Christian school. It was a small school. And my cousins went there. I didn't have any other friends really that went there. My brother and sister went there. Well, we had mixed classes. So we had 6th, 7th, and 8th grade were all in the same class. They were taught a little bit different, but they were all in the same room because the school again was small.
Dang, that's a small school.
It is. Yeah, we had like 13 people graduating each year. That was like about the size of the class. But there was this kid who was the JV. So obviously in 8th grade, you're on JV basketball team. The JV star player. He was their best player. He was also the assistant principal's son. His sisters were his sisters were really good at volleyball, so they were like just an athletic kind of family. And then of course the assistant principal was just like a douchebag, and everybody didn't like him. But also one of my best friends, who was a girl at the time, was dating him, and I had a kind of a crush on her, Devin, the same girl that I was telling you about. So yeah, that's when all that started. But he would bully the fuck out of me. He bullied me, and he would never get in trouble because he was the popular kid. I was a new kid. I was very nerdy. I was tall. I was lanky. I was like 5'11" in 8th grade. Yeah. I was tall. Had these big clunky feet. I had no muscle. Like I was just goofy. I was goofy. And then I was also the class clown too, so that didn't help anything. So he bullied me a lot. And I remember though, when I started playing basketball and realizing, oh, I'm pretty good at this. And I started becoming pop more and more. I realized that is when my mentality switched. I went from being the weird kid who hung out with other weird kids. Like I was not the kid who was eating their boogers, but I hung out with the kid who was eating their boogers. Like
you hung out with the booger eaters?
Yes, because I felt bad for them. Yeah. Felt bad for them. And they were usually funny. When you get to meet them, they're funny and they're cool. So I hung out with the losers. But then I started getting a little bit of traction as far as popularity. And I was like, this is very nice. This is way nicer than being the kid who's getting bullied. So then ninth grade, I left that Christian school and I went to a public school. It was a fine year. It was just kind of like a weird year for me. But then 10th grade, I came back to that school again. At this point, I had grown out of my clumsiness. I had kind of developed a little bit of style. I was finally hitting like my athletic stride where I was dunking basketballs. I was the best player on the JV team by far. And I played varsity and started.
Weird. That was me in like 11th grade.
Yeah. And it happens usually like 10th, 11th grade. But that was when I became popular. Like actually everybody in the school knew me. We had little kids, like we had an elementary school that was in the same, not building, but like really, really close, like right there. It's not like normal high school or anything like that. It was like in the same parking lot. But those little kids would come by me, 5, 6, 7 year olds. And they'd be like, Nate, what's up? Like, you know what I mean? Like they thought I was a celebrity basically. There's still one kid.
You think that's where you like kind of started to build that ego and arrogance?
Yes. That's where I built up that's what I was getting to, is I built up that, like, I like being the popular kid. I like being the one that if I wanted to, I never really did bully anyone. I don't think. I'm sure other people would be like, nah, he definitely bullied me.
Yeah.
You know, as a bully, 100%. You don't think that you're a bully. But but I just remember like loving that feeling. And so you chase that feeling.
Yeah.
And even when I left that school and went to another public school, the first people that I wanted to talk to was the popular kids. I didn't even look at those weird looking nose pickers anymore because I was like, I'm not going back to that. And so I wasn't popular in my junior and senior year at all, but I hung out with really popular people, like the top of the top popular people. So, and I was just kind of weird and nerdy anyways, but like, that is when that flip switched. That is when I don't regret it because it helped me to become more confident in myself, because I was not confident at all. Like I was not confident at all. I didn't have any style. I had no, like, it made me proud of myself. Right. So I would dress a little bit nicer. I would carry myself with my chin, I would always like looking down at the ground. Now I can carry with my chin held high and like I can look people in the face. I started getting girls at that point. And that's kind of like that 11th grade year was huge. Like that 10th and 11th grade year was huge for me because it kind of just like propelled me. But now I look back on it, I'm like, oh man, that was kind of the start of everything. Me really being like the biggest asshole ever it started with that. And now it has just carried over. And so I'm like, how do I go back to that? But that's the thing, is I don't want to go back to that weird, nerdy, goofy kid. You know what I mean?
You're in such a different environment now where it's like, for me, it's like, I didn't have that experience. Like I had multiple friend groups. Like I was friends with the weird kids and the sports guys and the skaters and all these things, because I was never that super popular kid. I never got all the girls. I never did any of those things. So like for me, I've always had a major like humbleness about me. But it's not humble, it's insecurity. And that's one thing that I've had a lot of trouble with. It's carried into my coaching, where it's like, I have this, I am less than kind of feeling from everything.
Is it like an imposter syndrome type of thing?
Yeah, that plays a part, but it's more like, I just have always felt like I'm like missing that it. You know what I mean?
Whoa, you just fucking, oh my God, dude, you just opened up so many things for me, because I feel the exact same way. Holy shit. Because I was just thinking about that today. Oh my God, dude, I was just thinking about that today. I'm sorry. I got super excited about it because I was at Brady's house. We were having our end of year review meeting, kind of thing. Yeah, we were having our morning meeting, but like we went into Brady's office and we had like our review, me and Josh and him. It wasn't one-on-one. He will do a one-on-one at the beginning of the year, but he was just kind of letting us know like where we were. And I looked down and I saw his race medal, that 10K race medal, sitting on the floor, just like bundled up. He didn't really care about it that much, which is fine. It's not. But what I saw, and it was shining off the light, just like gleaming off the light perfectly, that first place. Because at the very end, he out sprinted me and he won. And I didn't know we were doing that. But I think about like that really actually fucks with my head a lot, because I got second place in that. That was my thing. And just because he ended up sprinting at the very end, he got first and I got second. I remember the first trophy I ever won was a 3rd place trophy. I don't think I've ever in my life, one time in my life, if I ever won something outright against a bunch, like a solid amount of people that weren't way beneath me athletically or whatever. And you want to know what it was? We were at a thing called Awana. It's a church thing. And they were having a competition, and the guy would give a sentence, and he was like, you got to tell me who this person is. And there was 50 kids. They're all maybe like 12, 10, 11, 12, 13, whatever it was. And I was the only, and it took us weeks. Like it took us like 3 or 4 Sundays to do this. And he would give us the thing every single day, and we would whatever. And I guessed it, and I won a hat. I won a red Disney hat that I think I still have at my dad's house. I got that thing when I was like 12 years old. But like, that's the thing, is that's the only thing, maybe that and one other thing where I guessed a number right, that I've won. That I have like I am not a lucky person, right?
Yeah.
I am, because of the things that have happened to me, that I have been able to not die. I'm not in jail. There are a lot of things that could be way different, but I'm not a lucky person.
Mm-hmm.
I have like a about
you
that
believe
much.
In luck?
Weirdly, yes. Because, great example, Natasha, 200,000 followers, luck.
See,
straight up luck.
There's the issue though. Again, insecurities.
Yeah.
No. It's again, like I said, a humbleness, but it's really insecurity.
Mm-hmm.
That's not, you don't get chosen by another person because of luck. Like there is something, and this is the same thing for me. Like Kaylee was telling me, like, oh, Justin's gonna hire you. I'm insecure. I don't have that it factor. I'm telling myself, Justin did not choose. He fucking fires people left and right. He did not choose me for no reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
You did not get chosen by her for no reason. So there's the thing.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about her life in general. Is lucky.
Oh, I thought you were saying.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying because
like her choosing me. No. Now, am I lucky? And I'm really not trying to glaze too much here, but am I lucky that because she approached me? I would never have approached her.
Exactly.
Ever.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, same.
That's not what I was talking about, though. I was talking about more about her growth on social media specifically is lucky. And the reason I say that is just because it was so random. And it's not like she changed her look or like she may have changed a little bit, the way she got a little bit better at posting and stuff like that. But the way that it exploded and how fast it went from her having 600 followers to her having 30K in 2 weeks, it was insane.
Damn.
And I'm telling you, dude, it was incredible to watch. But it did, I will say, it made me jealous. It made me jealous like a motherfucker. Because we talk about this a lot when we get in arguments, and because it is something that still, even today, like is a little bit frustrating to me. I've been doing this social media thing. I think I went back and looked at my oldest post. I think it was from 2018. So that's going on 6 years now. And I have, whatever it is, 3,900 followers. But not small. So it's not like I have 600 followers. I've been doing it for 6 years. But it's like I've put in way more effort and energy into this than you have for way longer. And you're reaping benefits that I'll probably never be able to reap, and that's where that kind of comes in. That like negativity comes in for me. That's the reason I was asking if you thought it was like a negative thing.
So, and I mean, in that regard, like I would say, you said something earlier that answered that question. It's not luck. You said earlier, no wonder I'm getting these negative things, right?
Yeah.
So that's why, like, we've had these arguments about, I'm not putting all this effort into social, whatever. Number one, let's think about
I'm walking back on that, by the way.
I know you are. I know. I see it, which is great. Because
but that's why I talk to you though, is because I know the answer. I know the fucking answer.
I know you do.
You know, yeah, but I just need to voice my frustration. That's why. That's the reason I talk to you so much. Is like I need to be able to voice my frustration out, and I'll go do the fucking work. But I'm still gonna be like. But that may be where my issue is I don't do it I'll do the work. I'm not gonna do it with a smile on my face. You know what I mean? Because I hate it, or I don't like it, or I don't enjoy it, or whatever.
I think that goes to my point earlier of just like you're not gonna get given anything by life if you don't deserve it. And someone who, even if you're doing the work, great. Think about this as in a professional work environment. You might do your job. Like, let's say you're just working at whatever, plain Jane job. You
Mhm.
might do your job and you might always get what you need, what you got done. But if you're the person that complains about it the whole time, if there's a person that does the job 5% worse than you, but they are the most positive person in the world, they're going to get that promotion over you.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
for that stuff, it's like you are telling the universe, like, this isn't fair. She gets all this, whatever. So you're not getting shit. Right.
Mhm.
And this is why, like I told you the other day, like for me, I've come to accept the fact that, like, well, I've accepted two things. Number one, if I want that following, I have to work for it. I'm probably gonna have to work a really, really long time for it. Number two, if I'm going to complain about it and I hate doing all this, what about when you have that following? The work doesn't get any less, right? The work gets harder. So, or it becomes more abundant, or you have to be
Right.
more on top of it, or you have to post more, or
Mhm.
whatever the case may be. So to get there, you have to be that person that you would be then first. And it's one of
Yeah.
those things that a lot of people don't want to accept.
There's a saying that Brady has: if you want to be a pro, act like a pro. I
Yeah.
like a pro now. I like a pro
Applies to
now.
everything.
Everything
Applies to everything.
Pro can be anything. Pro can be a professional person at your work environment. Pro, and you can replace that word pro with whatever. If you want to
Whatever.
be a CEO, you got to act like a CEO every day when you walk into the fucking office. If you want to be a whatever it is, you got to act like that every single day. And that is something that I struggle with. There are days where I do not want to act like, because my job, our job as coaches is, guess what? Fucking content creation. Unfortunately, that is
Only
our whole job. That is our only job. Other than that, like, think about this. If we didn't have to post on social media, how much a week, how many hours do you think we would work?
Not much.
A few on
Not much.
check-ins. And it depends on how many clients we have.
Not much.
We're sitting at, we're not sitting at 65 or 100 clients,
No.
whatever it is. We're
Yeah.
not sitting at high client counts. So you have a little bit more hours. But like right now, yeah, 2-3 hours a week max. If we didn't have to focus on content creation, if we didn't have to do anything with social media, if people just came to us from nowhere.
And that's my thing, is like, it doesn't matter, like in this world, like that is a part of it. So you could be the number one coach in the world. If you don't put your face online, you're not getting anywhere. You're never going to be known. So yeah, I mean,
I think that's where I am getting a little bit more. I am becoming a little bit more relaxed on that end, because for so long I was so focused on building a following, getting known, building this, I gotta have sponsorships. I gotta have this, because I wasn't coaching or anything like that anyways. But
yeah, same. That's how I felt. Yeah.
like, yeah, you have to. And now I'm like, I have 3,900 people. I don't think we realize, because you have close to that. You have like 3,600.
Oh,
right?
hell no. I got
37.
like 27.
Oh, I thought you, oh man, my bad. But like but 2,700. If you had 2,700 people in front of you,
that amount of people wouldn't even fit in my house.
Freaking people, bro. That wouldn't fit in both of our houses combined. And I have a 3-bedroom apartment. No chance.
Think about being on a stage.
You're filling a stadium. You were.
Well, that's what I was.
Yeah, like summer shredding.
Think about summer shredding. That room would probably be out the door.
You wouldn't fit 2,700 people in that stadium. No chance. No chance. So, and that is how Brady, and like, that's what Brady talks about a lot, is like, you have the following that you need. If you have 100 people that are bought into what you are doing,
yeah,
you can change the world with 100 people in reality. Like, you really can. If you have 100 people that are bought in, think about how much impact 100 people has across their platforms.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if I, 3,900 followers, gets a client like Natasha, 200,000 followers.
Yeah.
How much fucking reach does she have? Now imagine if I have 3 or 4 of those. I'm at that point hitting millions of people. Millions, plural, of people.
Yeah.
Right? Now, are all those people going to sign up for coaching? No. I couldn't handle millions of people signing up for coaching. I couldn't handle 200 people signing up for coaching. Maybe not even 100. Like,
no,
I don't think you understand how much. I don't think you understand how much work, or we don't, because we've never had this. How much 100 people, coaching 100 people, how hard that would be.
That's why shit coaches
difficult. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So like, that's the thing, is like, if we have 40 or 50 people that are bought in and they're liking our posts, dude, We're a ball.
Start there.
Okay,
Yeah.
hold on. Okay, I'll say it like this. Brady told me this today. That's the reason I'm going to say this. If I have 50 clients, I'm making 6 figures a year.
Yeah.
If I have 50
You don't
clients,
think there's
I am
50
making
people in your 3,900 people that would, yeah, exactly. And that's where my
yeah.
mindset shifted. And when I got with TM, that's when I finally released that stress of I have to build this
I have to have
massive following.
10,000, 15,000, 20,000 followers. You don't.
No,
You sure don't.
no, definitely not.
You do not.
So that's
And
the overarching
amazing.
thing of this past, I think, I've definitely taken a lot, learned a lot. And I've even, told myself like, hey, like if everything falls apart next year, cool, I'll keep it pushing.
I'm good.
And which is opposite of what I've said to you before, but I've gone back on that. But yeah,
well, yeah,
I think that's
and it's just like a social media thing. I mean, like I said, I say things out of frustration and anger sometimes that I don't actually really mean.
yeah.
And I think we probably both do that.
But even that, like that's something that definitely we have to fix. Because again, just because you said it out of anger, the universe doesn't care about that.
That's why
you said it.
That's why I don't think the universe takes things like that, especially if you think it like if you think about it like I think about it as if the universe / God, the way that I think about it, is an intelligent being. He knows when you are being sincere and when you're not. Like when I talked about I'm not doing this stuff on social media, and then I post one that I put a little bit more effort into, and it pops. Now I'm like hyped about it. Oh, it pissed me off too. It pissed me off more than I got excited about it. Like I was like, motherfucker, dude, I don't want to do this every time I fucking, you know what I mean? Like I put a lot of, and it wasn't that much. It really wasn't that much. But I'm like, I don't want to do this every fucking day. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to worry about what skit am I going to do today to get people to get involved in the video, to then am I going to have to go buy a fucking bottle of a $12 bottle of alcohol every single day to dump down the drain? Because that's like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to have to do that. I just want to be able to get on there. I wish that I had the personality. That's where I think it is. That's where the jealousy comes from. Is I wish I had the personality to like Kai Cenat, to just get on there and fucking people will come and watch because I'm funny and I'm you know what I mean? And I think I probably could have that if I wasn't so stuck up. If I wasn't so stuck up. Like I just am. I don't want to I can't do the things that he does because it's so it's so corny and cringy to me. I'm not a corny, cringy person. And Natasha, that is how Natasha is. Natasha is a corny, cringy person. And it drives me insane.
Look who has thousands of followers.
Well, she's not even like that online. I'm just talking about in person. But she makes friends so easy. She makes friends super easy especially compared to me. Because she's corny, she's goofy, and I'm like, I want to carry myself professionally. I want to be, I want to be the, like Alex Hormozy.
Yeah.
Alex Hormozy carries himself like the ultimate professional at all times. I'm trying to think if I've ever heard him laugh. You know what I mean? Like actually belly laugh, like really hard, deep laugh. I'm sure he has. I'm just saying I've never heard it. You don't see it online. That's how I want my persona to be.
Yeah.
But that only radiates with so many people.
It does.
It's usually a finite amount of people.
It does.
But man, this was a good one. We didn't even get to any of the topics that we like kind of wanted to talk about.
We talked about mental health. That was the overarching thing.
That is true. Yeah, we did talk about mental health. We talked about, I guess we talked about the truck too. So I didn't even tell people what all happened, but
I think this will be out next week. So we'll have one. Yeah, this will be the last one posted. We'll record another one before the year is over. But
I was about to say because I was going to ask.
This will be the last one posted. Yeah, this will probably be the last one posted before the new year is over. So, like we talked about in the beginning, man, if you guys are, I'm not going to tell you not to make New Year's resolutions, but understand how important it is. We've talked about this before on the podcast. How important it is to keep promises to yourself.
Through.
Nothing's going to change if nothing changes. So. Make your New Year's resolutions, but do them this time.
And here's the thing is with those New Year's resolutions, do not sit down on December 30th or December 31st and try to write them all down. You need to start thinking about them now. I've been thinking about mine. I've been thinking about mine since September.
Yeah.
Because like I have and this is the way that I set it up. I'll tell you how I set it up just so people, can kind of, if they want to follow this script, they can. What I do is I have an overarching theme for the year. So I have for instance, this past year, it was, I can and I will, meaning telling myself that I can do these things and I'm going to go and do these things. That was my overarching theme. Then I had the things like the 10K race. I had a couple things that I will not be able to complete, but they weren't on me it wasn't in my control to complete. For instance, one was bring my son. I wanted to bring my son out here to Arizona just to visit and see how he liked it and things like that. That is out of my control. His mom said no, he's not traveling without me, blah, 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 blah. I can't, there's nothing I can do about that.
Yeah.
And there's other ones too. Like one big one was limit self-doubt. But then underneath that, I have my action steps. So what is the goal? Okay, this is the goal. How do I achieve that goal? For instance, the one big one with limiting self-doubt was meditate, read high quality books, surround myself with people who are positive, people who are going to uplift me, and people who are invested in my future. Right. And then, there was a couple other ones. Obviously there was like things with my show and stuff that didn't really go the way that I wanted it to. So that one's kind of a big crabby thing, but it doesn't matter. Right. I set these goals with the action
Intent
underneath so that I know that every time I go back and look at that list, this is what I need to do. Right. Another one was hit 4,000 subs on YouTube. Obviously my YouTube channel got deleted last year, so that's not going to happen. But like one of the things was post a video a week. You know what I mean? Post a YouTube video a week, which I was doing. I was in the process of doing until it got deleted. And then same for my Instagram. I wanted to grow my Instagram to I think 4,000 followers. So obviously I have to post on Instagram pretty consistently. Now, have I been the best at that one? No. That one's one that I probably have failed. But this next year, absolutely I will. Because I'm getting, and that's but that's the thing though, is I'm building that foundation now. I'm building that foundation now. I'm not waiting until January 1st.
Not February.
Not March. I'm building it now in December before the year even starts. And that is huge. That's a huge thing to do is start now. If you have something to do, like I want to change this for myself next year, start now.
Momentum is everything.
Same thing for bodybuilding. Don't wait until January 1st to start losing some body fat. No, start it now. Why would you wait? Why?
No reason.
You can have one day for Christmas and one day for New Year's. Cool. You can still lose 20 pounds and then like 20 pounds the next month. No, probably not. You can still lose 5 to 10 pounds the next month easily if 100%. You start a decent diet.
Yeah.
So
100%.
Natasha's yelling at me because we got to go to the gym. So,
well, it was a good one. We appreciate anybody who's on here listening. Yeah, this was great. Yeah. So we will, like I said, hopefully everybody has a happy new year. Start your new year's right. And Selective Wisdom will be back in 2025.
Yo, peace.